Well, we broke GitHub. How about NASA? Let's break NASA. All right. API.nasa.gov, predictably enough. There's all kinds of good stuff on here. The astronomy picture of the day, those rover images that we saw earlier. Yes, you can get an API key here too, or you can just use the demo key, at least for a little while, as long as you're not doing too many calls. So let's see about doing this. Let's make a new component. I will call it nasa.js. And I'll go ahead and make nasa.css as well. So let's import React and component from React. Let's go ahead and import my new style sheet. I'm doing it in the CSS file. I knew there was something to those red squigglies. All right. Let's make a class called NASA that extends component. Let's make a render method that returns some JSX. Let's remember to export default NASA. And I'll go ahead and stick the NASA logo in there. Paste this URL in Slack. Cool. Alt, all caps NASA. And I'll give it a class name of logo. In my NASA CSS, I'll say .nasa space .logo. I'll give it a margin top of 30 pixels. See what it looks like right now. Yeah, we can't get there yet. Give it a margin top of 30 pixels and a max height of 300 pixels. But we need a way to get here. So back in app.js, got a few too many things open. Back in app.js, we'll add a new route. The path this time, /NASA, the component, NASA, which is not yet imported, so I get the squiggles. Import NASA from ./NASA. No more squiggles. Let's add a link. So let's add a new LI here. And inside there, we'll add a new nav link. NASA API. The link goes to /NASA. Looks like I've got an error. Yeah, same old error. Click over here, NASA API. Very good. Now that's still huge. Makes it look like my CSS didn't quite take. NASA.js, here's an IMG with a class name of logo. Say NASA logo IMG. Perhaps. No. .NASA capitalized. .NASA IMG .logo. Yes. I am importing NASA.js into itself, which it didn't tell me was a problem. Thank you. There you go. That's much better. Might have expected an error. Cool. Add NASA component. All kinds of good stuff here. NASA API listing. Oh, got a nice little live editor here too. Let's see. Mars rover photos, that's what we were looking at. Image and video library. Anything interesting there? Can do a search. Yeah, here's some samples. Okay. You can query by Earth date or by Sol, which are Mars days. So let's check this out. API key is demo key, so we can totally use demo key from the front hazard avoidance camera on Curiosity. See what that image looks like. Snazzy. So let's keep that in mind. So we should make, just like we made a GitHub component and a GitHub user, how about we make another component called something like Rover Info.js. May as well make Rover Info.css. Don't forget to type your JavaScript into the JS file. I will import React and component from React. I will import roverinfo.css. I will make a class called Rover Info that extends component. I will add a render method that returns some JSX. And I will export default Rover Info. And let's see. Let's add a method called fetch rover data. And we'll do like last time and we'll pass in props here. We'll fetch. Let me paste that URL in there that I copied out of there. I might fiddle with this slightly, so I won't copy and paste it in there yet. API key is demo key, which is handy. Here we have rover's curiosity, so that should be some sort of param. So something like props.match.params.rover. It's looking at 6/3/2015. Happens to be a date when Curiosity had a photo available. And let's see. This is what the data looks like. That is all kinds of stuff. It's actually, there's a bunch of images in there from a different camera. So I think you can be more specific in your query. So FHAZ is the front hazard avoidance camera. Let's see, question mark Earth date equals such and such. You know how to use query strings? Different parameters are separated by ampersands. The whole query string begins with the question mark. So Earth date equals that. I could say and camera equals front hazard avoidance camera FHAZ. So is that a thing? If I say ampersand camera equals FHAZ, yeah, that works, and I get back much less data. Still get 2 images. Okay. We'll do that. Where do we want to save this? Let's make our constructor, which will receive props, which it better pass on to super. We'll set this .state equal to, let's initialize rover to an empty object. Do we need this in the constructor? Wouldn't have to so far. I could totally just say state equals rover empty thing. Then I could call fetch rover data not when the constructor runs, but on component will mount. Component will mount. Call this dot fetch rover data, passing in this dot props. Then I could do the same as last time. Component will receive props, which will run every time they change. Check if the location changed, so const location changed. Don't forget this receives the new props as an argument. Location changed is new props dot location not equal to this dot props dot location. So if the location doesn't match, they're actually new. I do need to call fetch again. So let's call this dot fetch rover data, passing in the props, new props. So I do my fetch, and then I need to do something. Again, we'll just take a response and turn it into JSON, response.json. Then we need to do something with the data. So the data here is fairly involved. So let's see. There's a photos array here. Looks like it's got 2. We'll just take the first photo. So I'll make a variable here called rover. I'll say name data dot photos sub 1 or sub 0. I mean the first one. Then there's .rover.name, curiosity. Let's do that. .rover.name. Fine. We need the URL to the image. So image URL. So that'll be data.photos square bracket 0 dot image source. Image underscore source. It's data.photos square bracket 0 dot img underscore source. And let's get the Earth date. There it is, Earth date. So data.photos square bracket 0 dot earth date. date. Then we can set that in state. So this dot set state rover. I forgot to put if here. If location changed. So it's expecting expecting the name of the rover to come in as a prop. So inside NASA.js, we can do what we did last time. Same thing that we did with the GitHub, that is. Go ahead and import route from React Router DOM. Inside our div here, let's put a route. We could put exact path equals /NASA and render something like an H2 that says no rover selected. I meant route up here. Import route, not router. And let's make one for path equals /NASA/ rover. We're going to need to import Rover Info from Rover Info. So we'll say component equal Rover Info. And we can add a nav link. So here we have the NASA logo. That's all well and good. Let's throw an H2 in there. It says select a Mars rover. And let's put some nav links. So a UL with a class name of nav links again. Just like before. Put some LIs in here. Inside the LI, let's put a nav link. So we need to import nav link from React Router DOM. Say curiosity. Nav link to /NASA/curiosity. Suppose I could put opportunity and spirit there too. Copy the whole LI. Opportunity, spirit, opportunity, spirit. See what this gets us. All right. Select a Mars rover, Curiosity. URL changed. Don't see much. If I look at React DevTools, look at Rover Info, I see state, rover, Earth date, not Earth data, you goofball. Earth date. Not that that's a big deal, but hey, I don't actually display the image, do I? But state got updated, so that's neat. So yeah, Rover Info down here in render. I'm not actually showing any of that, am I? So let's just make local variables called name, image URL, and Earth date. which we will extract from this.state.rover. Name, image URL, Earth date. Inside Rover Info, let's have an H2 that says the name of our rover, Mars rover name. H3, it says Earth date. No $. Earth date. And then an image. Source is image URL. Alt is photo from Mars rover. Yes. Yeah, that's true. Let's say surface of Mars. All right. Hey, there it is. If we try opportunity, yep, we've got a problem because predictably there weren't any photos on that exact date. So we'd have to go through a little more trouble to make it work with the others. Actually, probably have to pass in a valid date as a param. We could, if nothing else, be the easiest way to do this. So what does data end up looking like in that case? Let's go there. Let's go to NASA. Let's go to opportunity. Let's look in the console. Data. Photos array with nothing in it. So how about if data.photos.length greater than 0. We'll do this. Else, let's say const rover name, we'll get props.match.params.rover. Image URL. Wonder if I can say null. Earth date. Well, it's whatever's up here. I'll just say no images for that rover on that date. And down here, instead of saying Earth date, I'll just print out whatever's there. Yep, so I've got a broken image. So for my image here, I could say something like image URL and, remember that trick? Did I ever actually set state? I did not. So let's do that. do it out here. So let's say let rover equal that. Instead of using const, we'll set it here. We'll set it here. We'll update state with whatever. There you go. No images for that rover on that date. Change to curiosity. There is one, so it shows it. Spirit, there's not one. So if you wanted, on the NASA API page, you could have a second, you could actually have an input for putting in the date, something like that, if you wanted.
Why did you put rover instead of const?
Because I'm setting it in 2 different places. 3 different places. Yeah. Yeah.
What's the URL for the fetch request that you get?
Yeah. It's this. Let's put that in Slack. So I never actually put that in there. There it is. So you could change it for a different rover. You could change the date. You could change the camera if appropriate. So add Rover Info component. With a hard-coded date.